I've spent a really long time doing art and music and media, sometimes for a living, sometimes for fun and as a hobby. But oftentimes I find myself, regardless of what capacity I'm doing performance or media or recording or video editing, I find myself in this place where ultimately I think I get paralyzed by the quality of what I'm creating. I am a strong believer in making sure that videos and music and whatever you're doing needs to have quality or substance. If you're doing it for yourself, that's fine. But if you're going to be sharing it, I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to that stuff. But there's a point where it becomes super unhealthy and actually works against me. And this played out in a very real way for me in the last 3 or 4 weeks. One reason that I got into doing YouTube content creation and streaming is because of the pandemic and frankly being stuck inside all the time. And the more that I thought about it and the more that I spent time playing video games with my friends, even more so than before, which is a lot, I discovered that this could be a really great project for me to focus my mental faculties towards something. At least I wouldn't be inside all day doing nothing. But unfortunately, I got to this point where I wanted it to be so good that I wasn't even doing it. I would stay up late watching YouTube videos to try to figure out how to make the best stream. I would watch Epos Vox or Harris Heller or anybody just to see what they had to say. And I spent hours and hours and hours and hours doing that. And at some level that was helpful. But ultimately, what it came down to is that I was spending more time doing that than actually gaming or streaming. And then I started getting worried about cameras. Again, I started getting obsessed with, well, what if my camera doesn't look good? And what if this doesn't look good? And what if the camera and the streaming quality doesn't look like a DSLR? What if I'm still just using my C920? Oh, but wait, what about the lighting on the C920? Am I doing that right? And I was just spending hours obsessing over these little things that ultimately didn't matter. Long story short, I was spending more time being worried about the quality of something I wasn't doing than actually doing the thing. I'm in a Discord server with some very close friends, and it's become a really warm and beautiful place for me and my friends to connect during the pandemic. And one thing that my fellow streamer and he's just an amazing artist and has done podcasts for years and is a songwriter like myself and has performed in bands. Our bands have played together. He's toured. He's done it all. He's done graphic design and media. He said something that I think is really important for anybody that's starting out. And I'm not speaking about this as some kind of YouTube content creator expert or Twitch expert. There are people out there doing it way better than me and have been doing it way longer than me. But I am saying this as someone who has been doing art professionally in some capacity for the last at least 15, if not more than that, 15 years. One thing that he said that I found very helpful in the midst of our conversation about getting caught up in who's got the best Twitch overlay and what do I want mine to look like and, all this stuff that just paralyzed me. He said something that I think is very true. He said, "Don't let perfect be the enemy of good." This is very true. It's something that I've known for years, and I had forgotten it as I got into a new medium, a new context, a new platform. When I'm recording music, there does come a point where I just say, I'm not gonna let perfect keep me from actually doing the thing. And I hear horror stories all the time about people getting paralyzed and not actually doing the thing, or just holding up a project that probably should have been out a long time ago with really, in my opinion, no difference in quality probably. The outcome was going to be about the same. If you care about your art, I guarantee you that you're going to put hard work and effort into it, and you're going to make it look good as best as you can. You're going to learn though, and you're going to gain experience that's going to help you move forward in these things. So when he said, "Don't let perfect be the enemy of good," I said, you know what? You're right. So I went to Own TV and I bought one of their streaming packages for my overlays and animations. I said, you know what? The C920 is great. I'm just going to use my LED light to light my videos and my webcam. And I just said, I'm just gonna do this. At around that time in the week, a friend of mine said, hey, I have this Elgato capture card that I'm just not using right now. So why don't you use this? And you know what? That day I just made the simplest overlay that I could find and just played Battlefront 2 on PS4 and set it up as best as I could. My good mic wasn't here, but it didn't matter because I just went and did it. For anyone that's watching this that is thinking about getting into streaming, is thinking about getting into YouTube content creation, is a musician, is a visual artist, is a graphic designer, a singer, a podcaster, a poet, a writer. I've done all those things at varying degrees and at varying levels and for varying periods of time. I can tell you, not as some YouTube guru, but as someone who has done art, just do it. Just go out and do it. Don't get stuck thinking about doing it or being afraid to do it. Go out and do it. Do it for yourself. Maybe sit in your living room and say, I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to write a page, or I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to write a song, or I'm just going to sit down and I'm just going to try to make the best YouTube video that I can with what I have around me. That is going to be way better than spending a month thinking about doing it and not doing it. All the time that I spent watching these great YouTube videos, which were very helpful, I could have been doing most or some of what those videos were talking about. It's good to sit and visualize and process and absorb and really chew on what you're about to do, but it can never ever come at the expense of actually doing your art. I have a lot of opinions about the way that the internet and just digital media has changed how many people are able to do art. Hard on the table here and be completely honest with you. Not everyone that does a form of art is going to be good. In fact, a lot of it is probably going to be bad or mediocre. And you know what? Maybe this video is one of those things. But for me, in my own context, in my own mind, wanting to do art and being excited about it, it's just better to do it. Even if it's not going to be amazing, you can always grow. And if you're committed, you will get better. And if you care about the quality, you will take time to learn and gain new experience and push yourself just a little bit farther. So anybody that's watching this, the 5 of you out there, you're probably again asking, who is this guy that has a handful of videos on YouTube and he's saying all this stuff like he knows what he's talking about? I do know what I'm talking about in the context of art in general. I feel actually pretty confident that I could go to bat for that, but there is still learning for me to do in the context of YouTube, in the context of streaming video games. So I even have to learn how to figure out where I'm supposed to go, what my voice is going to be, what I want to do. Those are all important things. And it's just going to take me time to figure out. I'm not going to be a perfect butterfly. I'm going to have to stay as a caterpillar for a little while. One thing that I think is going to become my mantra for these videos, for anything that I do, and it's going to sound like a cop-out, but bear with me here. I've been saying this to myself a little bit to kind of pump myself up. I'm not an expert. I'm just very passionate. I think that describes a lot of us. It probably describes you. You might not be an expert. You might not have all the technical knowledge, but you're probably very passionate. And that counts for a lot. There's a lot of people out there doing YouTube way better than me and probably making $1 bazillion doing it who might not actually be that passionate about it, or they might be in it for reasons that I wouldn't want to be in it. That's okay. The world needs some of that everywhere, I guess. When the flood rises, we all float up with it, I hope. I just think holding back and not doing something because you're afraid it's not going to look good or be perfect is not going to help you even get close to where you want to be. In fact, I honestly believe, having spent so many years in the music industry, a lot of what gets people to the point where they can be firing on all cylinders is that when they were a noob and they were really terrible at music, they just did it. They just pushed themselves. Maybe they were a bit delusional. In fact, it's actually my opinion that most of the music industry and entertainment industry is powered by delusion, but it can be powerful because that person is actually just doing it. Sometimes they say fake it till you make it, which I hate and I don't agree with that, but I see how it works for some people. They get themselves going with momentum and then they're able to follow that up by actually learning and gaining experience. Who knows what's around the corner for all of us, especially as I'm recording this right kind of in the peak of the pandemic. I want to see what happens, and I'm not going to let perfect stop me from doing good, because I know that if I want to get to what I think is perfect for me, I can do that later down the line. Feel free to share some thoughts in the comments below. If you are struggling with that, leave a comment, talk about it. I'd love to respond and tell you about how I've managed to overcome this in many different contexts, whether it be in music or media or even podcasting. And as always, you can catch me on Twitch. I stream about once a week, twitch.tv/Casadari. I do that sometimes with friends, which is super fun. We've been doing a group play of Alien Isolation, which has been amazing. And it's actually made me not want to stream by myself anymore because of how fun it is. So check me out there if you like what you're seeing. And then if you would be so kind, go ahead and just hit that subscribe button. That's going to help me out. It shows me that you like what I'm putting out. And I'll make more of it. So with that, I'll say this. I'm not an expert, but I'm very passionate. All right, see you later.